What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. And not only is this another episode, it is a special episode
What's so special about it?
because it is coming out on October 31st,
What's that?
Halloween.
Running from Michael Myers, stumbling and fumbling as you try to. Ooh, I forgot the rest of the words. I knew I would.
You had it going though, man.
I did.
Right. But we can't ever pass a Friday 13th without doing a Friday 13th film. And every time Halloween's around, we got to do a Halloween film.
Yeah, and we couldn't not do it this year because we forgot about Friday the 13th.
Yeah, so anyway.
Sorry, Jace. Mike wins.
Right. But as always, I'm Johnny.
I'm Randy.
And this is Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I wonder.
Randolph.
What?
Do you realize, man, our very first episode was Halloween
1978.
And we filmed it October of 2020. And now here it is, October 2024.
4 years.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Been trying to come up with a way not to do this anymore, and he still sucks me in every single time.
Yeah, so January, it'll be our 5th season. So
What?
it don't seem like it's been that.
It really don't.
It doesn't, man.
We gotta, yeah.
But no, as far as the Halloween franchise, I think this is one that me and Randy really pretty much get into the most. Like, this is my favorite of any of the horror genre slashers. I love Michael. And Halloween films are stuff that I grew up on. And maybe Randy hadn't grew up on them, but it seems like every time you've watched the Halloween film, we've almost had the same exact opinion on it. And it's, you know, we went and we watched the 2018 Kills and Ends, and we were very excited for those films. So it's kind of one that me and Randy agree on most of the films.
See, and that's what's crazy is because Nightmare on Elm Street, me and you always have the same conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Dream Warriors is the first one I ever watched.
Yeah.
And it's the one that I like the most.
Right.
H20 before 18 Ends and Kills.
18 Kills and Ends.
Yeah. Strike that. Reverse it. Before that, H20 was the first one that I remember watching.
Right.
And it was the one that I liked the most.
Right.
Even and this is where it will knock heads, I like this one better than the original. But should have ended here.
Right. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, sometimes people just don't know when to quit.
And in case you're wondering, H20 follows the timeline of the original, number 2,
yes,
H20,
yes,
Resurrection,
yes,
which we are not watching.
And that's really, which we'll get into it later, but that's what I have said it. My favorite timeline is this timeline is the brother and sister timeline, 1, 2, and H20. And I hate the fact that I have to throw Resurrection in there because it's part of that timeline.
It's part of it.
But, fun fact, this is actually part of the Part 4 timeline as well.
Because that one clip.
No. Jamie Lee Curtis has come out and did an interview about it. Now, this was, I think, when they after they did H20. The part about, on Part 4, you find out that Jamie Lee Curtis is her mom, Daniel Harris's mom. And you find out that she died in a car accident. Well, of course, on this one, they reveal that, Laurie Strode had died in a car accident. Yep. So that tied in together. Yeah. This was originally going to be Halloween Part 7. Because there's Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Yeah. And Jamie Lee Curtis has come out and said, yes, this is actually a sequel to those movies. This is a sequel to Part 4, but she thought that it would make Laurie Strode look bad for faking her death and leaving her daughter behind and now going off and marrying somebody else and having a son.
Yeah.
So
it is kind of weird that you look at it from that aspect and like she has a kid.
Right.
And then they even show clips, like newspaper clippings of supposedly dying in a car crash.
Right.
And then you're like, well, what about Danielle? Can't leave my girl out of it.
So it's kind of one of those, that's what's funny about the Halloween series is that there's so many timelines that you can go with whatever you feel like. Like, I know some people that love the Rob Zombie timeline, just 1 and 2. Uh, but if you actually wanted to say part one, two, four, H2O and Resurrection, I mean that would almost fit too.
Yeah.
But
I would say that Rob Zombies was probably my favorite timeline until 18 Kills and Ends came out.
right,
That became
so your favorite is the original Halloween, 2018 Kills and Ends.
that's probably my favorite timeline. As much as I love H2O, and H2O is probably still like one of my top,
Gotcha.
but the three that just recently came out, just man, they were really good.
Right, I got you. Which you like more of the newer horror films anyway.
With the newer graphics and the
Right,
yeah, yeah.
right. But that's one thing that I can say about this one. Uh,
But I will say that my favorite Michael Myers is still Tyler Mane. Just putting that out
Tyler
there.
Maine's a beast, man. Tyler Maine is great at that character.
We made a comment in this one where Michael Myers is stabbing dude and just picking him up with one hand. And I remember thinking, that was Tyler Mane. I'd believe it. Just saying.
Right. But with that being said, Randy,
What's up, man?
man, you got us a good summary.
Man, I got a summary for you.
May not be a good one, huh?
Yeah, no promises.
Okay.
I didn't pre-read this one. 20 years after Michael Myers' massacre in Haddonfield, Laurie Strode faked her own death, traveled to California, and took on the identity of Carrie Tate. Michael discovers Laurie's new identity and travels to California to kill his sister. Laurie must now take on her brother with her son's life at stake. Da-da-dum.
Da-da-da.
Da-dum.
Right on,
That
man.
was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it was.
See, I have a list and I do like just a random
Did you say a lisp?
list. Shut up, you know what I meant.
But Halloween H2O come out in 1998, and it is rated R, and it is 1 hour and 26 minutes long, which I think is perfect.
I don't take a minute away and don't add a minute to it.
IMDb gave it a 5.8 out of a 10.
Trash IMDb.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 56%.
So they're both equal or pretty close, and they're both stupid. Okay, gotcha.
Right. Let's see here. It was directed by Steve Miner, as I said. Uh, it was based on characters created by Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, of course. Um, the budget was 17 million for this film.
It had to have made
Box office, it made 75 million.
what?
I'm gonna say for 98, that was probably good.
Well, yeah, 98. Still, man, I would have thought.
But you gotta remember though, it was the 90s. Scream just come out in 96. I know what you did last summer. Come out in 97. You know,
that's true. There was a lot of newer stuff coming out, so they was like, we don't want to watch these old reboots.
right?
But yeah,
Man, hey, if they didn't watch it, they missed out.
Competing with Scream though, that was
the first Scream was the best, man.
Oh yeah, hands down.
It's got to be in your top 10 of horror movies.
The original Scream, not the franchise itself.
No, the original Scream.
Yeah. I'm willing to put it in my top 5.
Really,
for sure.
It's definitely in my top 10 of horror movies.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's get into it. Randy, after all this time, man, you still digging it?
I do. I still dig it as much as I did the first time I watched it. The only thing I'll say now is now that I've seen 18 Kills and Ends, that I like those 3 better, but I still like this one.
I feel like this one, you know, even though it was released in 98, this one still holds up. It's not a gory mess, but it shows you enough kills. And I've always liked how Michael separates himself from the other killers like Freddy and Jason and whoever else you can think of, where he plays with the bodies. Like when he killed Charlie with the corkscrew, he stuck him back in the laundry chute and sent him downstairs. Well, then when he goes after Sarah and after he stabs her, instead of just leaving her body there, he drug her to the closet and hung her up where the light was flickering, you know. I still, it's still almost like Michael is a child trapped in a man's body when it comes to stuff like that.
And you could tell through the whole movie that he had a purpose,
Right.
like in his focus. When the woman and her daughter went to the rest stop, he didn't make any attempt to do anything to them.
Right.
It was, I need a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a vehicle. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Whenever Ronnie was at the gate, Michael was just playing with him.
Yeah.
But it was the sole purpose of getting into the school.
Right.
To get to Lori. So it had nothing to do with him just killing whoever was in his way. Until he got to John.
Right.
And then that's when stabby.
And see, and that's one thing that when people ask me, like, well, why is this your favorite timeline? I do. I love pretty much all the Halloween movies except for Part 5 and Resurrection. Those are my least two favorites. And I do love the David Gordon Green's trilogy we just got, 18 Kills and Ends.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that really bugs me about it is they got rid of the brother-sister dynamic, because in 18, in Kills and in Ends, Michael wasn't going after Lori.
Yeah.
He never had a purpose to go after Lori. Where in this one, he is dead set on finding Lori.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie has a great opening scene when he goes to Marion's house.
Yeah.
And what he do? He trashed her office. And I love that they paid homage to Donald Pleasance, which is Dr. Loomis. But, you know, he went there, found the files and all that stuff. So I'm like what you said, I have to agree with you. He had a purpose, and he was going to see it out. And if somebody crossed him, yeah, you know, he took him out.
Yeah.
But just like you said in the bathroom scene, I like the fact that when he takes the bag, the mom's looking through the crack of the stall, and he does glance back just for a second. It's almost like
he could see her, and he was like, "Woman, just stay in there."
Yeah, but he glanced back like, "All right, they're good." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I know a lot of people like this film, and a lot of people don't like the film. A lot of people say this film is boring.
I don't see how.
And it may just be because me and you grew up in the 80s and 90s, and me and you are accustomed to that 90s film photography and stuff, and the 90s films, to where, like, me personally, I think this is the best Laurie Strode besides the first film. I'm talking as far as portrayal of Laurie Strode. I think this is the best Laurie Strode we get.
I don't know. I kind of like the crazy ones in 18.
I mean, I like it too, but this one, she suffered from that one night, not just from part 1, but from part 2.
Yeah.
In 2018, she suffered just from that one night, and part 2 never happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. And I do like her portrayal in that, but I think this one is more of, like at the end when she tells her son and Molly to go, and she destroys that lock to the gate.
Mm-hmm.
She knows if she keeps running, he's going to come after her.
Yeah.
And I like that. I've had enough. And to this day, just watching this a while ago with Randy, when she gets that axe and she walks up to the little walking area, and you can see her shadow with the axe, and she's standing there, and she goes, "Michael!" And that dun 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 dun, that music hits. Chills.
But I mean, so which fight scene is better though? This one or Ends?
This one.
You like this one better than Ends?
Ends was about a 4-minute fight scene. This one,
drug out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you that one.
Now, I've said it. I did like Ends. I did like their final fight. But they're, she's older in that film as well. But this one, I like, my favorite part is when she's like, "Michael," she's walking around, all of a sudden he just lowers himself with one arm.
Yeah.
Which they tried to recreate that in Resurrection, and it didn't have the same feel. But
because it was Resurrection.
Right.
And it was stupid. And it was after Michael that had his head cut off.
But yeah, like I said,
look, can we just say something real quick? If the director happens to be watching this, or whoever come up with the idea for Resurrection, why? You didn't need it.
And you almost ruined H20, because now when you do watch it and you see that finale, I would have been happy if they'd have never done another Halloween film. I agree with you. I like the new trilogy, but if they would have ended the franchise with H2O, thank you for giving us what we have. I'm cool with it.
I'm willing to sacrifice 18 kills and ends if it meant never getting resurrection.
What?
As good as H2O was.
That's all it was about right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But, and that's what sucks is you can't hardly ever talk about H2O without somebody bringing up resurrection.
Yeah.
Because it did kind of tarnish the end of it.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as no, it is worse than the mask from 4. Yeah. Terrible. Absolutely horrible. But yeah.
But no, and let's go ahead and get on to with as far as Chris Duran. I thought his Michael was decent. It's not the best, but I feel like he gets a lot more hate because, and I will say this is one of my negativities, and I don't like the fact that they show his eyes through the whole movie. And that's what, but I'm like, Chris Duran can't help that's what they wanted to go with.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you think about it, I'm glancing around at your Michael Myers. The eyes aren't prominent; they're black holes.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
Right.
What kind of stood out to me about his was, and I'm not putting him on the same level as Kane Hodder. As far as like Jason, but his movements at times were a whole lot more sudden than like Nick Castle's.
Yeah.
Or even, I don't really remember Tyler Maine's movements being this sudden that I can think of off the top of my head.
Right.
Or even what's the dude from 2? Well, that was Nick Castle, was it?
Dick Warlock.
Dick Warlock.
Well, James Jude Courtney from the trilogy
wasn't as fast.
A lot of people said that he's taken over, which
yeah.
He
that was good.
Yeah,
that was good. But yeah, his movements in the last trilogy, they weren't as fast as this one,
right,
or as sudden. Like whenever Molly cracks him in the head with the rock, and he's knelt down on the ground, and he just whips around real quick, and I swear that's a different mask. It looks like a different mask because he's got this look in his eyes. Again, you've seen the eyes, but the mask looked like his eyebrows were like, I thought this dude was finna come unglued. I thought he was fixing to talk.
I feel like if they would have used that mask in the whole film, it would have been bad to the bone.
Oh man, yeah.
So let's get into that because I don't think, Randy, you may not even know about it, but they used like 3 to 4 different masks in this film.
I didn't know it, but there were times where I remember sitting there thinking, like, that don't look like the same mask.
Well, so to go ahead and give you a little history lesson, which
I'm learning.
Any Halloween fans know this already. The mask from Part 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, was used at the very beginning of this film. The whole scene where you first see him and he's in Marion's house and he's going after her, that is the mask from Part 6, which I love that mask. And I think it's the best one in this movie. But they didn't want to have any ties with Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. So they ixnayed it, which I think is stupid. Well, then in the trailer, they had the K&B mask. And it only showed it just a couple times, but it was from a distance. And if you know what to look for, you'll see it. But if you ever get a chance to look at the trailer, which I'm posting a picture of it right now as we speak, for our YouTube listeners, it looks just like a solid white mask, and the eyes are really far out, like they've cut the eye holes too much. It looks like an alien. It was terrible. And then, of course, this is the one that I was waiting for you to say something. You didn't never say anything. Did you notice the CGI mask?
Yeah, I noticed it.
How do they forget the main thing? They forgot the mask on set, so they CGI'd it on there.
Yeah, it looked terrible.
And of course, this is back when CGI was just starting to get used more. So
it's a known fact that I appreciate CGI more than Johnny does, but good CGI. I mean, come on, guys, come on.
And the rest of the mask that you've seen, the one that you keep thinking it's a different one, that was the Stan Winston mask. That's the one that they used throughout the rest of the film. Like when she slams the door and they meet face to face, that's the Stan Winston's mask, and that's the ones that was used for the rest of the time.
Is that the one he was wearing at the end?
Yes, when he was doing like this, reaching out.
Am I the only one that thinks he had a little smile?
It did look like a smile,
like a little smirk on the, like a little side smirk.
and I'm glad you said that because that's what I was going to point out. Everybody complained about his eyes, but Chris Durant, I feel like, used his eyes good in that scene because Laurie does feel sympathy for him because the way he turns his head and he's reaching out like this, it almost reminded me of a cat. Like, oh,
yeah.
So,
well, even when after he gets hit by the van and he's laid hunched over the tree, and she wakes him up, and he wakes up, and he's
just like, there it is. That's the Chris Durant mask right there.
Yeah, and he's like freaking out, and he's grabbing.
Or the Stan Winston. Sorry, the Stan Winston mask. But that's Chris Durant in
Chris
it.
Durant wore it, you know.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Huh?
But like he wakes up and he's grabbing his head and all this kind of stuff. For a second, I thought he was gonna rip the mask off.
Yeah.
First time I seen it. But yeah, he's just like, I don't know. He brings more expression to Michael Myers and more emotion to me.
Well, that's like your favorite. Is your favorite still Tyler Mane? Or is it James Jude Courtney?
Out of all of them?
Yeah.
Man. Man, I love Tyler Mane.
Well, what I was going
I love Tyler Mane.
What I was going to get at that, though, is in Rob Zombie's Halloween, everybody loved, this mask right here.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Mane could do stuff with his eyes where Rob Zombie said it on the making of Halloween. Multiple people kept asking Rob, do you have different expressions on the Michael Myers mask? And he's like, no, that's the same exact duplicate, but it was the way Tyler Mane could use his eyes.
And I would say that I still love Tyler Mane's Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't necessarily care for the Halloween feels anymore just because of the director. But James Jude Courtney, you saw the progression of Michael Myers between 18 kills and ends.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about it most.
I get that.
The progression of Michael Myers.
Right. Well, you saw him when he got in 18, he escaped and he was bad to the bone. Well, then in Kills, you saw his aggression and what he's capable of.
And then you saw him at his weakest.
And then exactly Ends is 4 years later, and you see how much of a tired, beaten up man he is.
Even if they went stupid with it.
The movie's still a good movie.
The movie's not a bad movie. It's not.
It just didn't. Why try something new? But we'll get off that. We'll get back to that.
Here's the thing. No. Here's the thing. The extra cheese on top. The extra that you showed me, the alternate ending.
Yeah.
With the
silver shamrock mask.
Okay. That would have made sense for what they did in Ends.
Right.
What they were trying to do in Ends.
Right.
That would have made sense.
It would have.
And then they would have been able to carry it on forever.
Somebody put the mask back on or something,
Haven't been wrong.
But
yeah. But I mean, that would have made sense for that particular.
Right. But
I do.
But no, overall, I don't know. Like I said, H20 is still one of the Halloween movies that I could pop in and enjoy every time and not fast forward it or nothing. Like I said, I think Chris Durant's ability to play Michael was good. He's not one of my favorites. I mean, I'll say that. But like I said, I think he gets a lot more hate than what he deserves.
Yeah.
And some people's like, well, he's too maintained in this one. I thought he was pretty vicious.
He was, and the thing about it is, there, like in other Michael Myers, is if he'd gotten hit, there would be a grunt. There was no grunt whatsoever in this. All the expression from Chris Durant came with his eyes.
And my favorite scene in this entire movie is when Laurie is underneath the tables in the cafeteria, and she's crawling, and he's grabbing tables and chairs,
and just flipping them.
But he's looking straight the whole time. He's just boom, boom. Like that's when you're like, dang,
that was cold. And there wasn't no little tables either.
No, but when you see the chairs being launched, I thought that was cool, man.
I was like, I know somebody's back here pulling ropes, but it still looks really cool.
Yeah, it was the bomb, man. But you want to get into the ranking, or you still got some stuff you'd like to mention, or what?
No, I think I'm ready for it.
Right on, man. Well, I think it's time once again for the pull-in scale.
The pull-in scale?
The pull-in scale.
The pull-in scale.
The pull-in scale.
Pulling.
Scale. Haha, I switched it over
Yeah,
there.
you changed it on me.
I'll let you go first since I went first on the last one.
Did you go first on that?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
it was the new Conjuring. No, you're going
Fine.
first.
Okay. So I still think H2O holds up to when I seen it the first time. Even if I have other opinions about newer movies that have come out, I still think this is one of the better Halloween movies.
Yeah.
You got John Carpenter's music. I mean, there's just
that's something I gotta address.
Hold up.
John Carpenter did not do this movie.
Not all of it? None of it.
The only time you hear John Carpenter's music is at the end when she chops his head off, and that's from the original '78 movie. But go ahead, bud. I wanted to stop you before you.
I'm glad you did, because now I'm taking a letter grade off now. But I will say this: it didn't stand out enough to me to make it affect the movie.
Oh no.
But the camera work I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of times, especially whenever Michael Myers is going through the school, or when you get in Laurie's dream, her nightmare.
Yeah.
He's going through the school, he's going into the closet and all this kind of stuff. It really reminded me of a Tales to the Crypt.
Yeah.
Like camera pan. Like that's what I felt like we were going to see the Crypt Keeper.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a lot of the camera work was really good. Like the scene where he was coming down right behind her, legit. The camera work for when he was tossing the tables back.
Yeah.
You've seen just enough to know exactly what was happening.
Right.
But they didn't show too much.
Right.
Like there would be times where you wouldn't even see him grabbing anything, and all of a sudden there's a chair and a table behind him.
Right.
You know. There wasn't any of the kills that just stood out to me. Like there wasn't anything that just kind of popped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like there wasn't anything that I thought was just overly gruesome. I think the most gruesome thing about the movie was when Sarah got her leg caught in the dumbwaiter.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah.
And that looked bad. I thought all the actors and actresses did a great job. I don't have an issue with any of them. Like none of them got on my nerves. If any of them would have gotten on my nerves, it probably would have been Charlie, but I thought his character was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I like the way it ended, and that's the way it should have ended.
Yeah, I agree.
So for me, it's a thumbs up.
Gotcha.
Add it to your collection. Without 18 kills and ends, 1, 2, H2O. The only reason I put Resurrection in is because it's a part of the timeline.
Yeah.
But that's one of the better ones. Thumbs up. If you're a collector, add it to your collection. It's one of those ones that you don't have to cringe when you're watching it in order because it's worth the watch.
Right.
And I'm gonna give it a solid B+.
Right on.
B+.
Good deal. So I'm gonna do my negatives first and then my positives, because as much as I love this film, I'm glad you mentioned the music. I want to see a cut of this film with John Carpenter's music, because there's moments in this film that I don't feel like it's a Halloween film. I feel like it's more of a Scream film. I want to see some of the scenes with the old music that we're accustomed to. Most of the time, I really like the John Carpenter's theme. In this one, of course, if you watch every single Halloween film, all the music's changed up somehow. Mm-hmm. This one's one of my least favorite, because it's like they added violins in the back of it or something, and I didn't care for that. I think the film would have really been one of those gotta watch if the music was John Carpenter back for this movie. I don't know why he didn't come back, but I feel like you can tell that John Carpenter's missing from the film. So that's one of my negatives. My second negative, and he'll laugh as soon as I say it, I hate when they have on-screen kissing and the actors are smacking the entire time. Yes. And what was his name?
Brendan?
Yeah.
The
Was it Will?
Will, yeah.
Will and Laurie Strode, when they kiss, and when she's, and I feel like that whole moment where she's trying to open up to him and tell him about her past is ruined by him constantly smacking and stuff like that. I can't stand that. Uh, I'm trying to think else. And the major one is the masks. I wish they would have just stuck with the Part 6 mask throughout the entire film. I love the Part 6 mask. I like how it hides his eyes a little more, but that's my negatives on the film. My positives is I think all the acting was really good. I think this is the best Laurie Strode portrayal that we get from Jamie Lee Curtis. LL Cool J really brought a fun dynamic to the movie. I think he's actually a pretty good actor when he's in the right roles.
Yeah.
This is John. What's her son's name, or his real name?
Hartnett.
Yeah, this is his first movie, I believe. This was his debut, and I think he's a good actor. But I'm kind of like you. The teenagers, none of them got on my nerves. Mm-hmm. And something I really like that I didn't know how I'd feel about it is I do actually like this setting at the school campus.
Yeah.
Because you took Michael away from Haddonfield, which is one of those like you don't do with Jason. You don't take him from Crystal Lake.
Well, they did, and it sucked.
But exactly. But I think that that's what separates this one from the others is because they're not all in the same Haddonfield, the same look. Like this one's in California, and I will say I wouldn't want to see it again because you've already done it once. But I think the setting at the college is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like we were talking about with Scream. When they got away from the original.
Yeah.
And they went into the theater stuff. It was just terrible.
And then remember me and you were surprised when we were going to watch Scream 6 and it was in New York and how good it actually was.
Yeah.
But it separated itself from the others.
We also had PTSD from, was it 3?
3.
A Scream?
Oh, yeah. But, like I said, I still dig the movie. Just sitting here watching it. It's one of those that I watch almost every year around this time. So I'm giving it a thumbs up. I really like this film. I highly recommend you to watch it. I highly recommend you to add it to your collection if you're a horror fan. I'm kind of like Randy. The music did not stick out to me at all. But the kills, there wasn't really a violent kill. I would say the most violent one, in my opinion, and it was just the way it happened, was the nurse at the beginning when she was trying to get the officer's attention.
You just picked her up.
But this movie did something that I feel like 4, 5, and 6 failed to do. They didn't have to show all the kills on camera.
Mm-hmm.
When she finds Jimmy and he's got the skate in his face, that's the kind of stuff that you saw from the other ones where you were like, oh, crap.
And it looked trippy.
But you didn't have to see it. When you saw it, you were still like, oh, dang. Where now every horror film, they have to show it.
You still got the effect of the feeling of seeing it
without seeing it. Yeah. But thumbs up, and I'm giving this movie a B+ too.
Look at that.
I know, man. And we did not discuss anything about this, so.
Yeah, we did. We talked about it before.
It's hot down there. Lying. But with that being said, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Spread the word. As always, you can find our audio podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are available. And if you can't get enough of Michael Myers talk, I'm going to put a link in our YouTube channel. Actually, in this video, it is my own personal YouTube channel, and I just did the ranking of all the Michael Myers masks. So, with that being said, Randy, you got anything you want to say before we close out of here, man?
I bet 4 is all the way at the bottom, isn't it?
No spoilers.
Don't tell nobody.
But this is coming out on Halloween, so if you're watching it before you take your kiddos out to trick or treat, just remember to be safe, enjoy the holiday, and
kids, don't get mad when you get the dad tax or the uncle tax. It's just part of life.
Yes, we all do it.
Yeah, I always thought my dad was checking my candy.
He was checking them all right. He was checking for them Reese's Pieces.
No, he was a Tootsie Roll freak.
Oh,
I never got any Tootsie Rolls for Halloween, which I didn't. Never, not a big Tootsie Roll person anyway. But it's the principle of the matter.
right.
I'm the one that put on the ghost costume, walked around town.
Yeah, you did the work.
My chubby little tail walking around town.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I could see you as a kid too, like you were the fat version of everything.
I was. I just waddle.
Like you'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna go as Michael Myers," and then you'd walk out there.
I was only fat ninja walking around town. Yeah, I wasn't. Chris Farley. I look like Chris
There you
Farley
go.
on Beverly Hills Ninja.
There you go.
That's exactly who I look like.
All right.
Wasn't as funny then.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this special episode, and as always, remember to stay scared.
Stay spooky.